Student-centered decision-making to me means looking at the whole child. What are their abilities and maximizing that, not looking only at what their deficits are. I think if we maximize those abilities, then the deficits are going to follow.
A lot of decisions we make are team-based, so general ed teacher, special ed teacher, if there's any support services like speech, parents, previous teachers, and then having a real conversation, using our data, and then making decisions that will benefit the student the most. Not something that's going to be good for the teachers or something that logistically makes sense for our class sizes or anything like that, but what is best for this student.
We're really looking at the student first rather than trying to build the system around the adults.
We all differ. We're all unique, so I expect all of our students to be coming in different. And those differences are what give us opportunities to elevate our practice, our thinking, the strategies that we use. Really, they are a gift to us.
When I think about differences, I think there's an assumption here, because almost all of our students are military students, that they're all the same, that they deal with things like transitions and moving and PCSing the same, but they don't. Everybody deals with something differently, just like us.
Inclusion doesn't mean co-teaching. There's lots of different supports that we can provide before we go to the level of co-teaching. Lots of students don't need that support, and then there are students who need more support than co-teaching can be provided.
There's different types of levels of support that a student may receive in the general education setting. So we start with all children in general education setting first, and then we look and move our way outward.
Supports can be in the classroom, it can be outside of the classroom. It could be adjustments in the curriculum, accommodations and modifications, but it also could be with support. It could be with people providing one-to-one support, and then the types of support we provide, right? Academic, behavioral, social, emotional. So it's really multifaceted in terms of what we offer to our kids.
Because our students are so unique and different students need different levels of support. So when I think of a student that only needs advanced supports, they don't need another adult that can be in the classroom to work with them. Maybe they just need the teachers or the team to provide graphic organizers, sentence starters. The next level would be the support facilitation classroom, where there is a EA that can support the gen education teacher. There, the students will get the whole lesson from the teacher, and then they can be supported with the EA. If they are not getting supported enough in that classroom, we go and think about a co-teaching setting where there's going to be 2 certified teachers, a general educator and a special education teacher, and together they work on planning our lessons, providing the lessons. If a student needed more support than the co-teaching setting, then the team would come together. We would talk about maybe providing specialized supports. Some people call that pull-out. That's where they would be not with the other students, and they would be working on specialized instruction.
When offering support to a student, there's so many different factors to consider, not just their placement within the school, but we look at their skills, their deficits. Behaviors is another one that we need to consider. Just because a child may be nonverbal doesn't mean they don't have the ability to be productive in a gen ed setting.
Sometimes it's hard to figure out what the right level of support is for each student. It's really getting to know your students. It's really getting to know who they are and really listening to what they're saying, seeing what, kind of like what's their trigger, what's gonna make them unhappy, what's gonna help them move forward.
We used forms 1 and 2 in the Stetson model process, and we use those forms to clearly identify where each child with an IEP was, what their goals and objectives were, and how we could address them in the general education setting. looking at the abilities of the students, looking at the staff involved and who would be teaching those students based upon their individual needs.
Additionally, when we look at Forms 1 and 2, it really helps us when we're trying to make healthy clusters of students. So when we have a cohort of students, let's just say when we're moving into the next grade level, we take a look at the Forms 1 and 2 so that we can see what kind of support students need and we can create healthy clusters. And then we took a look at the available teachers and the available educational assistants, if there are any, and see how we can align the personnel to the students based on whatever the need is at that time.
Right, we're looking at each student individually and what their academic needs are, what their behavioral needs might be. When specifically do they need that, and for what?
I think it starts with the mindset. You have to go on the belief that the student starts in the general ed curriculum, and then we try to find the least restrictive environment from that way. And you have to find the resources that they need, but to also start with that idea, right? If your mindset is, oh, this kid comes in and they should be in a resource classroom, then that's your mindset already. You've already started there.
Shifting the mindset from my students, your students, to our students, so that our students feel that, so that they feel that they are part of the all, and can engage in their learning experiences with their peers. These are their friends, these are their peers. And so not only for our students, but also our teachers and their practice, and expanding their practice when they are able to attempt different strategies, differentiate their instruction because there's different needs in the classroom. That elevates everybody. That elevates everybody's experience in the classroom.
It is definitely not an overnight process to be successful. It's a learning experience. There's so many different moving pieces that have to kind of work together, and people who have to work together. It takes a lot of teamwork and understanding and some flexibility, since it's different for not only the parents but teachers as well, because it's not what's been done for years and years and years in the past, and so now we're doing it, and it takes everyone's buy-in for it to work.
We take probably about 2 months to begin to build our master schedule. And it could take longer, and maybe I take that back. Maybe it's ongoing throughout the year, but really towards the end of the year when we know that our class lists need to be made and that master schedule comes out, the Form 1 and Form 2 conversations get started, because our special education teachers kind of get us going in those conversations and start bringing our gen ed teachers into the fold of those conversations. And we start there, right, with our Form 1 and Form 2 to build those initial healthy clusters, as we call them, before we start thinking about the rest of the class list, the rest of the building that master schedule out.
I think all teachers and all schools should be inclusive. I've always said that I think all teachers should be dually certified, because in this world, honestly, you're not going to come across, every person is not just like you. Every person has their own individual strengths, individual needs, and you're going to have to learn to work with people no matter who they are. And so if we can help students to become successful in society, that's our goal.
Give the children the chance to be successful. Don't automatically assume just because they have XYZ that they can't do it. Focus on the can, focus on the end goal of where you want that child to be, and give them the opportunity, because they are going to learn from their peers.
You'd be amazed at how well a student will advance in a classroom, in a gen ed classroom, when they have peers. It's amazing. Sometimes peer support is almost better than teacher support.
Remember that it's a team. It's our school, it's our students. It's not just the special ed teacher students, the general ed teacher students. even if you're not in one of those classrooms where there's special ed students, they're still your students.
It's looking at how we service students as an entire school, but it takes the entire school.